What's happening, YouTube? The Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. And this one will be highlighting, last night, Wrestlemania from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, how do I summarize this whole pay-per-view before I really dive into each match? It delivered. Probably one of the better WrestleManias, in my opinion, than I'd seen in the last 5 years. Fair comparison, you know. Last couple of WrestleManias were okay. A few before that were the kind of in the middle. This one had really a lot of buzz. It had a lot of feel. It had a lot of excitement to it. And it was kind of good to see some, I guess you can say, some fresh change that took place, particularly at this event. Let's begin with the pre-kickoff show. Before the actual pay-per-view began, they did 3 matches on the kickoff show. I was surprised to start. Let's start with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I was stunned to see Bray Wyatt come back. Thought Bray Wyatt was going to maybe do something actually on the card itself, but for him to come back and actually help Woken Matt Hardy take home the Andre the Giant trophy. Little shocking, considering these two had an Ultimate Deletion match a few weeks back on Raw, and it just looked as if, was Bray Wyatt going to undergo some kind of a character change? Was he just going to disappear and never come back? Was he going to come back as Husky Harris? But to see him, he stayed Bray Wyatt, but now that he came back as a face, I like it. I want to see how Bray Wyatt will now deliver being a baby face compared to being a heel. And I'm curious if he will still kind of continue that, that Bray Wyatt feel to himself as now a face instead of as a good guy instead. Curious to see how that will roll, and I'm curious to see what alliance he will now form with Woken Matt Hardy. Very, very curious where that's going to head. So Woken Matt Hardy was the winner of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Then came the Women's Battle Royal. It was going to be called the Fabulous Moolah, then they dropped the name of it, and to be honest, I don't know why they didn't call it maybe the Sensational Sherry Battle Royal, or throw some other name, maybe the Alundra Blaze Battle Royal. That would have been a nice name for it, but, just to throw a few names out there. But, anyways, WrestleMania called it the Women's Battle Royal. It's the first one at WrestleMania. Okay. Like the talent that was involved, a few ladies from the NXT roster, and then SmackDown and Raw. In the end, Naomi won. Couldn't really care too much for that one. I mean, all right, Naomi won the women's title back at WrestleMania about a year or two ago. Okay, that was fun. Yeah, that was Orlando, but did Naomi really have to win this one? I mean, maybe would have been nice if Bayley pulled it off, but again, it came down to Bayley and Sasha. That was pretty predictable, and then Naomi winning was kind of a shock, I guess, but not too much there. Then we had the Cruiserweight title match. Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali. This is where I drew kind of one of my few criticisms with this event, with WrestleMania. Why was the Cruiserweight title match not on the main card? This match delivered just as good as any other match did on the card. It kept the crowd involved. The crowd was into it. I was into it. We saw some incredible athleticism from both athletes. In the end, Cedric Alexander walked away with the Cruiserweight Championship. And look, either of these two men, I couldn't have cared which of these two men won. Both of them were just very deserving of that title, and I'm happy one of them won. That's all you can really say. And trust me, if this match maybe begins to put 205 Live more on the map here, I still would prefer it on the main card, but they had a lot of matches to get through. I kind of get it, but they could have scrapped maybe one of the title matches that didn't wasn't going to generate too much buzz and just put that on the on the kickoff instead. But I guess they didn't want to. WWE didn't want to go that way. So happy for Cedric Alexander. Very happy for him winning his first cruiserweight title. He waited 8 long years to get that, and couldn't be more happier for him. Now we go to the actual card. Now they hadn't. Now I'll give WWE this. They had an interesting way of the order of matches this card went. Obviously, I'm gonna go through each. I'll go through each match and just kind of briefly give you my take on it. And the order was a little interesting. I thought there were certain matches I thought would be better off toward the end of the card, and maybe there would have been some better matches at the start. Maybe some of the less up there matches would have been at the beginning, but I guess WWE wanted to kind of mix it, kind of like mix and match, kind of. They wanted to keep, the key is you want to keep people coming, you want to keep people glued into the event. You don't want to tune out the fans too early. You don't want the show to lose buzz kind of as it goes along or kind of fade it out at the beginning. So the first match, and I kind of like the idea of starting with this, the Intercontinental title match between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. And it was a good match by all three of them. Miz went in there, didn't need the Miz Taraj, which is good. I mean, want the Miz to prove he's a legit champion that doesn't need his cronies to get involved and help him win. So, Miz put on a very good performance. Finn Balor was equally as good. That was his first WrestleMania officially. He hadn't. Remember, he missed time. He had that terrible shoulder injury after he had won the Universal title, the very first one to win it. And then he got injured again, and he missed WrestleMania for that first one for him. So very happy Finn Balor got a chance to compete in his first WrestleMania. And in the end, the Kingslayer pulled it off. Hats off to Seth Rollins. Really has come a long way, and I think he's really established himself as one of the top performers, in my opinion. One of the top performers for the men's roster currently right now. He's one of the top, no doubt. And now he's a Grand Slam champion, so couldn't be any more happier for him. Next after that came, and this was interesting because, again, the next match, and I thought this was a match that should have been later in the card, and they decided to put it number 2, and that was the SmackDown Women's title match, Asuka and Charlotte. If you ask me, I would have preferred this match to have been maybe the second to last or final match on the card. I'm going to explain why right now. The women's division has gone leaps and bounds where it was 2 years ago. At one point, the women's division was the Divas division. At one point, women's matches back then only lasted about maybe 45 seconds, maybe a minute, couple minutes, maybe get 8 minutes if you were lucky. But for a match that had so much draw to it with Asuka and Charlotte, and basically what was at stake, you had Charlotte either retaining her title or had Asuka keeping her undefeated streak of 914 days, I believe it was, where she had never been beaten, going. I would have loved this match to have been on the latter end of the card. I would have liked this match to have been the second to last or final match because it had so much build to it. It had a lot of buzz, and you knew that when these two stepped into the ring, they were going to deliver some magic in the ring. This match would show everybody how far the women's division has come as a whole. Now, after the match, and in the end, just to get right to the chase, just kind of my thoughts on the match. First of all, it was a great 13-minute match. I mean, longest women's match and probably one of the best women's matches I have seen on a pay-per-view probably ever. In my lifetime, anyway. Charlotte proved at the end of the night that she's the best women's wrestler in the WWE today. In the end, Charlotte ended Asuka's streak. She retained the SmackDown Women's Championship. In a way, this takes now a lot of pressure off Asuka. Now she doesn't have to go out and prove to the world she's this unbeatable wrestler. She doesn't have to do that anymore. Now she can just be Asuka now. And you know what? I couldn't have picked a better person to have ended her streak than Charlotte. I think Charlotte was the perfect one to end the streak. It didn't. Everyone's going to probably say different things. Oh, why did Charlotte have to be the one? Charlotte never loses at pay-per-views and yada yada. These two delivered a great match. The Empress of Tomorrow, the Queen. But if you ask me, this match, I think, could have been a little bit of a longer match, and it could have been at least toward the latter end of the card. I would have liked this to have been a good maybe 20-minute match. I think it had the potential to be 20 minutes, a good match. But regardless of which, Charlotte wound up winning. Congratulations. Very happy for Charlotte. It's been a long road for her. It's been a year. It's been a bit of a crazy year for Charlotte, considering the health scare of her father, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And, I'm very happy in the end that Charlotte did find a way. I'm very happy. And I think this, again, this proves how great Charlotte's going to carry the women's division. I really don't think there's any woman on this roster that can stand, that can do what Charlotte does, and as she has in the time she's been here. Moving on to the next match, and this was the United States Championship. It's Fatal 4-Way. Okay, didn't really have that build to it. It just was there, just to kill a few minutes. So Jinder Mahal took home the United States Championship. All right, happy the MDM took it home, I guess. Orton doesn't have anything else he needs to prove anymore. He won the one title that eluded him for his whole career. Bobby Roode's already held the U.S. title for a short while. Rusev had already held it. So to see Jinder Mahal hold it, I guess it's fine. We'll see how far Jinder Mahal takes this reign. We'll see. All right. That brings me now to the fourth match on the card. Again, I was a little surprised it was as early as it was. I thought maybe, again, it'd be a later match. The in-ring debut of Ronda Rousey. Teaming with Kurt Angle against the McMahons, Triple H and Stephanie. Every fan that had the expectation of watching this match thought Ronda Rousey was going to... Well, not everybody, but a majority, I'm sure, thought Ronda Rousey and WWE was going to equal epic fail. I wasn't sure she was going to deliver in a ring. But boy, was I wrong. Boy, was almost everybody wrong. Some of what I saw Ronda Rousey doing, and that was only her first match. For her to freaking go into fisticuffs with Triple H, and then for her to just kind of end that match just almost snapping Stephanie McMahon's arm. And for her to pick up some of these moves that she had in a short amount of time, I mean, just... Not many athletes can transition like that. I just want to make that very clear. Not many athletes, I mean very few athletes, have shown that they can adapt from coming from MMA, from coming from UFC, from any other previous profession in sports to transitioning to sports entertainment. Very few proved they can do that very well here. Brock Lesnar's proven that. Lashley. Shayna Baszler proved it on NXT. For Ronda Rousey, I was actually very stunned that she was able to not only stand toe to toe with Triple H and with Stephanie, but how over she was with the crowd. The crowd was so into that match. And with good reason. Ronda Rousey, you've just proven that you have a very good future with the women's division and with the WWE altogether. How deep will she go? How great a run is she going to have? If she just proved she can wrestle with a guy like Triple H for a short while, that almost reminds you of China a little bit. Could Ronda be the modern day China? Well, Ronda, you broke down a lot of barriers that maybe a lot of people didn't know, or maybe you proved what a lot of people wrong today, Ronda. That's what I'm gonna give you a lot of credit for. You delivered. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you can bring to the table now and the future you're going to have with the WWE. So congratulations to her and to Kurt Angle. That was a really incredible match. Really delivered more than I think anybody had expected it would. Then came John Cena. So, one of my fellow friends said this match wasn't going to happen. Undertaker was not going to wrestle again. Undertaker looked about as good as I'd seen him in about 10 years. I know it wasn't a long match. I get it. It was only a couple minutes and practically Cena got squashed. Okay, fine. But just seeing Undertaker return, even having a match at all, and just dominating, just looking as old, just turning back time. I didn't think The Undertaker could still do a flying clothesline. I didn't think The Undertaker was even going to go old school in that match. And then just kind of seal it with the tombstone. Undertaker continues to show the world why he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and why he's a once-in-a-lifetime star. It's not a WrestleMania without the dead man. Plain and simple. Moving on to the next match. Things began to really kind of showcase, really kind of change, and just things, the cards slowly began to shift a little differently after the Kurt Angle Rousey match. It just, things, I guess maybe many feel like the card started to lose a little steam as it went on. After this match, I believe, came, yes, the SmackDown Tag Team titles. All right. Wasn't a long match, but you know, Usos had a good reign with those titles. New Day, you know, we've known the rivalry those two have had. Happy for the Bludgeon Brothers. We needed to see some new blood holding the titles, and that's actually the one title that, even when they were part of the Wyatt family, Harper and Rowan never held. They had matchups with the Usos. They had legendary rivalries with the Usos, but never were able to secure the tag team gold until tonight at WrestleMania. So, very happy for the Bludgeon Brothers. Moving on, the return of Daniel Bryan to the wrestling ring. He and Shane took on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'll give the two of these. I'll give Daniel Bryan and Shane a lot of credit. I mean, Shane was just coming off a health scare with an umbilical hernia and diverticulitis. Didn't look quite 100% in the ring. Maybe just, and I could tell he wasn't really selling a stomach injury. He wasn't really selling that injury to his stomach. He was in legitimate pain. I could see it. But for Shane to still deliver in that match, for the majority of that match, it was mostly Shane. Daniel Bryan got attacked before the match even started. But then Daniel Bryan eventually came into the ring. Boy, Daniel Bryan looks as if he never missed any action in that ring. Crowd was into him. Fans were into him. The whole WWE Universe was into him. I mean, it's hard to believe Daniel Bryan was gone from the ring for 2 years. Watching him, it almost looked like he never lost it at all. And it's great to see Daniel Bryan back in a ring again. And I cannot wait to see the potential matchups he's going to have down the road here. Who knows who he faces next year at WrestleMania? Who knows where maybe he gets thrust back into the title picture? Maybe. Could he win the next Royal Rumble? Wouldn't that be very fitting? Wouldn't it be fitting to see Daniel Bryan win the 2019 Royal Rumble? It'd be funny if that does happen, but one can dream. But hats off to Shane and Daniel Bryan. Owens and Zayn remain fired. They beat them, so hats off. Moves on to and this is again where I kind of draw my next little criticism with WrestleMania. As this match ended up being the third to last match on the card, the WWE title match between Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. I am curious this match, why wasn't it the last match on the card? Very curious. The King of Strong Style against the Phenomenal One. Now it delivered. It was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie. It was, the match was phenomenal. I mean, AJ Styles and Shinsuke. What more can you ask for? But for it to be the third to last match on the card and not the very last match, or maybe even the second to last match, definitely was surprised with the finish. Happy AJ Styles won, but I cannot believe what Shinsuke freaking did. Low blowing AJ and then Kinshasa-ing him in the head. Very curious now where this storyline's heading between those two, and I don't think it's going to be pretty for either of them. Definitely curious to see where this goes, but congratulations to AJ Styles. You continue to showcase why you're the greatest wrestler right now. I know I said that about Seth Rollins being one of the best performers currently, and to be very fair, Seth Rollins is, but AJ is still here. Rollins is just a little down here. Then came the Raw Tag Team title match, and this was probably I call this more of a disrespect to the tag team division as a whole. Braun Strowman against the Bar, had to find a tag partner, and he picks a kid out of the stands, a fan that was in the audience, who happens to be, by the way, the son of a referee for the WWE. Well, and you pick a kid to be your tag team partner, and you win the Raw Tag Team titles. In relatively a squash match, is what it was. I mean, wasn't it bad enough that Braun Strowman had to freaking dominate every tag team in a battle royal by himself? And then he wins the Raw Tag Team titles with a kid? Good luck with this one. Braun's going to have to find a real tag partner because I don't think this kid's going to stick around forever. He's got to go to school tomorrow. All right, and then the final match. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Well, a matchup that happened 2 years ago that Seth Rollins in the middle of the match cashed in his Money in the Bank contract and ended up winning. And so now we had a rematch of this. Everybody thought, oh, Roman Reigns was almost a lock to win this match. Pretty much a lock. Brock Lesnar was going to go back to UFC. We were never going to see him again. I don't know what was a little more stunning with this match, to be very honest. And I'll let you guys debate that down low, down low in the comments. What was more shocking to you? Roman Reigns taking 6 F5s and going about 13 times to Suplex City and not getting and kicking out, or Brock Lesnar actually winning the match and remaining Universal Champion after that? Probably a very similar question to it, but the fact that Roman Reigns just kicked out of 5 F5s consecutively, pretty much almost, that to me didn't show they were booking Roman Reigns as a beast. It just showed that it just shows that Roman Reigns is going to become another version of Super Cena. That's pretty much all I felt that I saw in this match. That was not Roman Reigns being booked as this fierce monster that can dominate anybody in the ring. Come on now, that wasn't it. Brock Lesnar did the same moves over and over. Fans were chanting, "This is boring, this is awful." I heard it throughout. I was hearing it while watching the event. What this match already showed, Brock Lesnar's Universal Champion has run its course, and he needs to drop that title already. And finally, the WWE fans are just getting tired of Roman Reigns being force-fed and shoved down our throat. I don't need to see Roman Reigns. This match should not have been a main event. This shouldn't have been what closed out the card, Lesnar and Reigns. If you ask me, this should have been the third to last match, not AJ and Nakamura. Oh, I forgot one more match. In all the hullabaloo, I just forgot. I completely forgot the Raw Women's title match. Completely forgot about that. Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. I'm going to quickly go into that, and then I'll finish my piece with Roman Reigns and Lesnar. So Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss. I give my congratulations to Nia Jax. She's had countless times where people are going to ask, when was she finally going to reach the mountaintop? When was she finally going to take home the title that really has eluded her since she came in here? Because everybody could tell, and everybody knew how big a presence Nia Jax is for the Raw Women's division. The one thing she was missing was that WrestleMania moment. That moment to finally conquer her demons and take home the Raw Women's title. And finally, Nia Jax did it. And I couldn't be more happier for her. Nia Jax has proven, just as Ronda Rousey has, it doesn't matter what you are, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how you look. You can be who you want to be if you believe in what you want to be and you know who you can be. So Nia, congratulations, and I hope you have a good and long reign with that Raw Women's title. You deserve it. So Lesnar and Reigns, the fact that this match closed out the card, that was really kind of what killed me a little bit with this one. WrestleMania, for the most part, WrestleMania was a great event. I'm not lying to you. That was one of the better WrestleManias I'd seen in a long time. But Lesnar and Reigns had to close it. I feel, if anything, this just further demonstrates and just further buries Roman Reigns. The fans already hated him for him beating The Undertaker. And if he had beaten Lesnar, I'm sure there would have been an even bigger riot than there was a year ago when you could hear on the Raw after WrestleMania the fans just booed Roman Reigns out of the freaking building that night. So I'm fascinated to see where this is going to head and who is Lesnar going to drop the title to already? Because, I mean, obviously Reigns has had his chance and he failed. So who's next? So all in all, WrestleMania. This was a fun WrestleMania for the most part. Beginning of it was pretty good. I liked the build to most of these matches. I liked the build. The Intercontinental title build was pretty impressive. Miz doing his Miz TVs and kind of just building it up. Nia Jackson, Alexa Bliss, that was a great build, considering Alexa kind of sharing her true feelings about Nia by just basically saying she uses her, and that lit a fire under Nia Jax. That lit a big fire under her. And then to see just kind of shocking to see how Shinsuke just turned as he did, and I really didn't think Shinsuke was going to do something like that. I when I saw him bowing down, I had a gut feeling he was going to. I was like, kind of whispered to my brother, Shinsuke's going to pull something here. And then sure enough, he did, and like, wow. I just can't believe though Shinsuke would do that to a friend like AJ Styles. I mean, wow. Just low blowing him and then just Kinshasaing him. Wow. Anyway, that's my finale with WrestleMania. I can't wait to see tonight on Raw how it'll carry over. Usually, always the Raw after WrestleMania is pretty exciting. You see a lot of new storylines get written. Some new people I'm sure are going to debut from NXT tonight. We'll be curious to see which way WWE is heading now after the grandest stage of them all. For right now, Execution 10 saying so long for now.